Time now for a look at today's business news, and for that we're joined in studio by Anka Ula from our business desk. Anka, we're going to start with the latest in the US-China economic tensions. The US Treasury Department deciding not to label China a currency manipulator. Tell us more.
That's right, Eve. So this was one of Donald Trump's main talking points during his campaign in 2016. He repeated it as recently as August this year, saying that Beijing was playing with the yuan to combat US tariffs. Well, the Treasury Department did not move to officially label China a currency manipulator in its biannual report on Thursday, saying that direct intervention from the central bank was limited this year. Catherine Viette tells us more.
Spared the label of currency manipulator, the U.S. Treasury instead said it will continue to closely watch China's monetary policy.
Of particular concern are China's lack of currency transparency and the recent weakness in its currency. We will continue to monitor and review China's currency practices, including through ongoing discussions with the People's Bank of China.
Despite pressure by President Donald Trump, who has repeatedly called out China, accusing Beijing of keeping its currency weak to make exports more competitive, the Treasury Department said China hadn't met the 3 criteria set by Congress to be formally designated a currency manipulator. Those criteria include a minimum $20 billion trade surplus with the U.S., a current account surplus in excess of 3% of GDP, and repeated interventions in currency markets. While being designated a currency manipulator doesn't trigger sanctions or other U.S. penalties, analysts say it most likely would have escalated the current trade war between Washington and Beijing. Trump has slapped tariffs on $250 billion worth of Chinese goods, and China has hit back with tariffs on about $110 billion worth of U.S. products. Instead, the Treasury Department has decided to keep 6 major trading partners on its foreign exchange monitoring list: China, Germany, India, Japan, Korea, and Switzerland.
Let's see how Asian markets are responding this session. As expected, we're seeing red across the board. Chinese markets are faring the worst. You can see the Shanghai Composite almost 3% in the red, Hong Kong down 0.6%, Tokyo's Nikkei down 0.8%, and Seoul's Kospi down nearly 0.9%. Here in Europe, we saw a slow open. There's still some uncertainty over Brexit and Italy's budget plan. The only 2 indexes that were open at the time of open was London FTSE 100 down 0.2%, Paris's CAC 40 about flat. Another thing moving the markets is a report from the US Federal Reserve yesterday hinting at future rate hikes, also against Donald Trump's wishes. Well, let's take a look now at some other business headlines we're following for you this hour. French Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire said he would not be attending an investment conference in Saudi Arabia next week over the disappearance of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. He joins the growing list of attendees who have dropped out of the event, including CEOs from JP Morgan Chase, Uber, and MasterCard. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Facebook has tentatively concluded that spammers were to blame for the largest data theft ever at the social media company, and not a nation-state as was feared. Last week, Facebook said that 29 million Facebook accounts had information stolen by hackers. Meanwhile, 4 public investment funds called for CEO Mark Zuckerberg to be replaced as chairman of the company by an independent party. And eBay is accusing Amazon of stealing its sellers. In a lawsuit, eBay said Amazon representatives signed up for eBay accounts and messaged sellers to get them to sell their goods on Amazon instead. eBay is demanding an unspecified sum of money from the company for violating its user agreement. Amazon has so far not commented. Well, finally, for business, with Argentina's unpredictable economy, young workers have increasingly turned to app delivery services to make ends meet. The nature of such work is precarious. Now, a group of app delivery riders are joining forces to create a new trade union. It will be the first of its kind in Latin America if it's approved. Take a listen to some of their demands.
We're exposed out on the streets every day. We don't have insurance. We are also exposed to robberies, so basically we want this risk insurance for our hours worked to be recognized, the length of time we have, and that we are not blocked from the app, that we are not stopped from working without a logical reason.
Well, if that trade union does get approved, Eve, it will be the first of its kind in Latin America, a huge step forward for workers' rights on the continent.
Absolutely interesting one. Thanks a lot, Anka Ula, there with our business update.